Hello, everyone. We are live yet again, and this is going to be one of my authors' chats of the week. And I'm going to give this some moments so notifications start going out, and then we'll get things rocking and rolling. We'll be talking about books, writing, publishing, and everything in between once I connect with my co-host. And I think she's out and about. So let me see if I can connect. Let's see. In the interim, I actually was away at a writer's conference this weekend, so that was a lot of fun, being able to meet a whole group of new writers, at least new ones to me, and authors, and try to learn as much as I could from that event. Of course, made a few friends along the way, so those are always fun. And it's been some time since I've attended a okay, let me see if I can send you the invite. There we go. See if you see that. Volume. Hello, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Hi.
Hi.
I'm glad you're able to connect, and that was pretty smooth. I was going to say, I've had some of these that there's always a glitch somewhere, so I'm glad that worked out.
Every time I go live, I'm like just crossing my fingers that nothing goes wrong with the loading and everything. So this makes me happy.
Is your phone charged? Is the whole
Yes.
I had that little blinky thing of you should have thought better once, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was actually on one the other night where they were interviewing people, and they'd been on there for so long, and I think they were moving or something and didn't have the charger. And so they were trying to cram everyone in last second just to not be rude. It was cute. I felt so bad.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like we try our best, and there's always going to be a little hiccup, but that goes as part of the publishing community and aspect of this whole process, the crazy world we live in of writing. There's always a little hiccup along the way, but we get through.
You know what's funny? When I first decided I was going to write this book, and I talked to my indie author friends, and I was in the process of writing, and I thought, this is, it's so challenging. It's so challenging to write. And now that I'm on the other side of it, the writing was cake. That was cake.
Yes, I don't know if you heard, when I was kind of logging on, I was mentioning that this past weekend I was at a writer's conference. It's been so long since I've attended one, particularly one that offered a lot more on the writing side, the craft side, versus just the marketing side, since there is that learning curve and everything. But I always try to challenge myself to, continue to learn and continue to try to, dabble with new things. But yeah. Yeah, there were so many new writers in there, that first timers and everything, and it was cute. And I was like, I feel you, because I was nervous about certain aspects. And since you get to a point where you've done it or done it multiple times, you're like, I promise you, take a breath. Yes, you're okay.
You will make it. You will be okay.
Exactly. But before we get too far along, why don't you introduce yourself and what you write, since you're my co-host this week, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. So I am Jen Xaunt. I write spicy, funny stories for particularly for middle-aged women, just to give us a little bit of an FMC out in the world. So it's a mixture of quirky. I can't even really put it into a genre other than paranormal rom-com is probably the closest. So
I love that. I'm gonna write that down. Paranormal rom-com.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See that I am terrible with comedy. Not to say I've never had a comedic character, but it's hard for me to do that. So anybody who can write on the comedic side of things, I applaud you, because for me it's like a very totally different world, a totally different beast.
Okay, so see, I am the opposite, because if it's something that's really, in depth and serious, and you really want to convey that, I really struggle with it. And I find myself always leaning toward the comedic side. So like, I'm even working on a dark story right now that I've never done dark before. And there's still that sarcastic kind of humor that's in there too. I can't get rid of it.
I feel like you can have darker works that have comedic, of some level, comedic characters, as long as it's not like chuckling the whole way through and someone gets on the line and they're like cracking a joke, unless that's their personality. There's Deadpool. I have seen Deadpool. You can have a little bit of both. But,
I was going to say, that could be a quirky character, actually.
have a little bit of both, but yeah, I was gonna say the one character that I think was the most comedic was also in the darkest series, but he also helped offset some of those moodier moments
Yes.
because you needed someone that every so often would like give like that one liner, and everybody's like,
yeah, like, oh, okay, all right, we're all good now. Yeah.
Or we may not be good, but at least it just brighten the mood of the reader for the moment because they're like, oh my goodness.
Exactly.
So how many works do you have out? Obviously you said you started with this kind of paranormal rom-com story and you're moving into something else. So do you have one? Do you have more?
So I have one. I have The Adventures of Perry and Mogg is my debut that came out in January. It turned into a series in the last paragraph of the epilogue. And so now I'm working on book 2 of that. And then I'm also a part of what's called the Black Diadem series, which is 15 authors, 14 novellas, and we're doing dark retellings of fairy tale stories. So
okay,
yeah,
I must have talked to someone else in this because this sounds so familiar. And it's such a unique concept, you know. There has to be only one group of you, pretty much. So I must talk. But that is such a cool concept. So for anybody who doesn't know, why don't you explain that more? Since I think that is a wonderful way to approach writing a series.
So what they've done is a prologue was created where it just gives a little backstory of the Black Diadem and what that is. It's just the black crown, and where it came from, what the power is, all of that. And it's basically explaining how happily ever after stories and fairy tale stories have always shown the princess is, you know, she's a wonderful light girl and she's sunny and happy. And our concept is that's not the truth. And so we're each taking a fairy tale princess. So I've got Cinderella as mine. But there's like Red Riding Hood, there's, you know, the Alice in Wonderland, there's Swan Prince, all of them. And everyone's telling their own version of the story. And then there's a couple of lines at the end that tie all of them together into this Black Diadem story. So it's kind of interesting because some of them are going to be very pitch black. Some of them are going to be more fantasy oriented. Mine's going to have, you know, a little bit of that dark humor in it. Like they're a little all over the board, but it's all got, you know, the same concept. We're going to the same concept at the end. So I'm stoked.
And when is that project coming out or debuting? Because that sounds like it's a big project.
Yeah. So that's coming out Halloween. So October 31st. And we've got Ashby is doing our cover art for it. So she's creating the diadem. And then this is such a cool concept. On the sides of the books, they're each going to have a piece of the diadem on it so that if you buy the whole set, you'll have the whole diadem there. Like,
I like
yeah.
that a lot. That is, I was going to say, that's a lot of work to put together. I'm just like thinking about that, and it's just making me like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. I am glad I am not in charge. I am just writing my stories.
Hey, sometimes I don't know. I want to say there was another author on here. His name's Atlas Creed. There was one of these lives I did a year and a half ago with him, and I told him, and I put in his brain the seed, why don't you put together an anthology? So, lo and behold, our anthology is finally on pre-order, and I say R because it was just my idea. But no, he has done all the work, and I was like, nope, I don't.
Like, I'm the idea person.
I don't want to be in charge, don't make me. So.
No. The last thing I want is to be in charge anywhere.
Well, you say this, and then you write, you're a writer, so, you know, you have to be in charge of some, you know.
Well, yes and no, because I'm a straight pantser, and my characters take off and do whatever they want to do. and I try and corral them, and it doesn't work, so.
You just channel their story through you to the computer.
Yeah. It's so the one of the main characters is Perry, which is the giant green foot that's all over there. He is a perimenopause demon, that lives in Mog, who's the other main character. So the whole concept is that perimenopause is not a hormone thing. You're actually inhabited by a demon. And so she's talking with him and fighting with him all day. And he sounds like Joe Pesci, or he's supposed to. So we call him Toe Pesci. And yeah, when I sat down to write it, it just started to evolve into this. It's just wild. It's wild. And when I got done with it, I'm like, I don't know where that came from because I did not plan any of that. It just kind of came out that way. So yeah.
I'll have to say, like, I've never had like a Toe Pesci moment, but I have had characters write themselves into being, and one in particular that in this book I just needed a character to take my main character from point A to point B, then go away. Well, he came back in the book, and I was like, why did you come back? And he stuck around throughout the whole series until like the very end of the final book, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is why you were here the whole time. Now I know.
They know so much better than we do. Yeah. Oh my God. That's great.
So what made you jump from your debut book to this new project that you're working on? You said you're trying to write a little darker story, so
yeah,
that's a big swing.
Part of it was so we have this little chat group we call the Tiara Court, and we do Tiara Tuesdays, and everybody puts their tiaras on or whatever. And that's where that idea sprang up from, was we could do, dark princesses, because we tend to, kind of lean that way in our videos and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that just kind of came about, I don't know, gosh, a month or two ago. And the idea is just, it keeps coming, it keeps evolving. So it's kind of growing into a bigger thing than I think what we initially thought. Yeah. But yeah, it's fun because I have never written dark. That's not my normal thing. And to try and put my brain into that space where, there's some serious ugly stuff going on in there. Like the opening scene, she basically like unalives a man. Our Cinderella is a bartender, and it's modern day. She's unalived a man who he's trying to attack her behind the bar. And so that is the opening scene, very first thing when you come in. And it's almost on the verge of horror a little bit at that point, because I went kind of, more graphic with it, but it's so fun to stretch that way. Like it's fun to stretch my brain in that manner because it's not normally in that place, but I have to really put it in that place to write that way.
Well, I mean, I think it's good to challenge yourself to write outside your comfort zone, because you don't want all your characters to be little, stamps, imprints of who you are, and to come and approach from a totally different angle is good. It keeps your characters diverse. It'll keep your readers entertained, because I think I was talking about this. I think I'm about to post a video. I recorded it about the concept that I love warrior women. But like I also like to challenge myself to be very athletic. I was an archer. I did axe throwing. I did all the things. So I like that because it speaks to me. Not everybody can relate to that or cares about that. So for my Dark Viking fantasy, instead of going back and writing another kind of warrior woman as the main character, I challenged myself to do the opposite. I chose an introvert who was a homebody, who, is not athletic, did not want to go out to the world, was perfectly fine that in her time, theoretically, if she had access to books, she was not that time period, but she would be the person that just sits home and reads all day. That is her personality, and trying to take her on an adventure and go through her, as the main character was a bit of a challenge, at least in the beginning, because it was just like, you're so different from me.
Yeah. What I was going to ask, like, how challenging was that for you? Because I'm finding that with one of my characters here, where I don't think like her. So I have to try and figure out how to think like her to make it work,
Well, I think that, part of that is that empathy that authors should probably have for other people, because if we can kind of challenge ourselves to see from someone else's point of view, even ones that we don't agree with, it helps us also become better writers. So in general, I think, that's a good skill to have. But one of the things I knew was she wasn't going to stay the same. My character, her name was Leaf, and I know throughout the whole process she's going to force to change and adapt, not necessarily to be the big flashy, warrior woman that her sister was, but she does develop her own strengths. She does develop her own voice. She is able to stand up for herself in situations that in the beginning she would not have. So it gave me a lot more growth in different ways, because when you start off with a character who's self-confident and is like, let's go, you would have to challenge them to have different types of growth or different challenges. So it's
Fair point.
just how you, and again, for someone who's a pantser, the character will tell you, I guess, how they will be, because I'm not a true pantser. I am in the in-between, and now listing a little more to the planning side. So true pantsing, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of faith in your characters.
It's wild. So I was actually explaining this to my boyfriend the other night, because he didn't understand the concept between the two and the differences. And I said, I don't, because he was asking like, well, what's this character going to do? Because I was explaining some things in my next book that I'm working on. And I said, I don't know. And he was like, what do you mean you don't know? And I'm like, I don't know what he's going to do. And he's like, well, what about his backstory? I'm like, we haven't gotten there yet. He hasn't told me that yet. So like, I'm like, I literally have no idea when I'm writing this, and it just kind of comes out. And then I said, I think the difference between pantsing and plotting is plotting, you're really putting a lot of time in up front. You're front loading basically the information. Pantsing, I'm going back a lot. So I'll write it out, get the vomit draft out, and then I have to come back and refine a lot more because of, there's probably more plot holes in there. There's probably more issues in there that wouldn't be there if I had plotted it out. But I said it's just 6 or 1/2 dozen.
No, and that's very true. It's like I feel like once I write my stories, they're relatively cleaner and they need far less heavy duty edits compared to some other authors, which probably, thinking about it, they're probably more on the pantser side of things. One of the authors that I talked to over this past weekend, he's the what's his name? I'm very bad with names. But his book ended up turning he has several books that have turned into movies and shows, including the one with Justin Hartley right now. Obviously not a genre that I usually read, but because I can't name all these things. But point being is, he was talking about how he is a plotter. When I say a plotter, he does 100 to 150 page outlines.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, that's a book, sir. That is a book. He was just like, yes, I spend 6 months plotting, but once it's done, then every day he's like, I know exactly what I can do. I can go, if I'm not in the mood to do a hardcore scene, I can jump ahead and do a calmer scene. And he's like, I know exactly what I'm doing, when and where I can knock that book out. I'm like, that's great. But 100 pages of outlines is a book.
That's a lot. Holy crap. Is he writing in like fantasy?
No, he writes thriller mysteries, more heavy duty on the thriller side.
Oh wow, okay. Because I tend to find that a lot with people that write fantasy, because of the world building, that they tend to be more plotter like than some of the other genres.
I guess if you're having lots of twists in a storyline, it also helps you to know how to plan those twists accordingly. So It just depends probably more on genre, as you said. But we did have a question come in, and I forgot to mention that what I try to do is in the comments, if there's something bookish related, I make note of that, because if this platform's nice, I'll try to repurpose or live onto my YouTube channel and put all your information down below so people can continue to find and follow you going forward. With that said, there was a question that came up. One of my regulars came and loves to ask this question to my co-host. What is your favorite aspect of world building? So even when you're not writing high fantasy, people world build in different ways. And so what is your favorite aspect of doing that for your work so far?
That was actually, world building is probably the biggest challenge that I found, because I didn't list it as a name of a town. There, if you go through and read through the first book, it could be any city, anywhere. I left it very broad so that you can just get the general concept that we're in a city. It could be Chicago, New York, it could be wherever it is. And then it's very focused on this building that's called the church, which is not church, it's a adult club. But that is the main focus of where a lot of things are happening. And so when I created that, one of my alphas went through and said, I don't feel what it looks like inside here. And I realized that I didn't do a good job of explaining like what did it look like. So I had to sit back and like kind of close my eyes and just try and envision if I was standing in this club, what does it look like? What do I see in front of me? And that's how it started to pull together. Um,
Details and
yeah, yeah, because the banter came first. The banter is, I think, the easiest thing for me. The world building was really that was a challenge, the descriptiveness of everything, because I'm kind of a get to the point type of person. And so that transferred into my writing in my first draft, and it was very bare. And so I had to go back and add a lot of, color and flavor and things to it to really pull that together.
well, I'm actually going back and reading the series. It's a fantasy series called Witcher, if you're familiar with. There's a TV show. Yeah, yeah. So reading the translations, because he was not Polish, was he Czech? I'm trying to remember. But the translated to English version. And it's very interesting to me because almost all of it's dialogue. There's
Yeah.
very little descriptions, and it's still this sweeping fantasy, this amazing adventure, but like it's just this banter or conversations between people. That's how pretty much the bulk of the story is being told, and I thought that was very interesting because I'm not used to seeing that, especially in fantasy.
Yeah. Fantasy for sure is huge on world building. Huge.
Yeah, and then I see another question. Yes, that was the Saga convention that I went to. Sorry, I'm just making sure I didn't miss
No,
any
yeah.
other questions coming in. Yes, and food. Talks about food. No, yeah, that's interesting. Like I've also realized that I like visual. I like auditory, but when it comes to senses like smell, and I don't usually embed that well. Taste, I kind of half the time forget to also incorporate those senses when I'm writing a story.
Yeah.
And also because I really don't pay attention to what people wear, I've retrospectively realized it's hard. I don't usually do a lot of detail in my clothing of my characters, which looking at it, I should challenge myself to be better at. But it was just interesting observations. How about you? Do you have any like, have you ever looked back and like, huh, that's interesting. I do or do not do something.
Yeah. So there's a whole scene in that book where she has to go into, well, she basically goes to get a glow up at this store from her friend who's a designer because our FMC has no style whatsoever. Which I put that off of me because I'm not a very stylish person in general. But so she goes into, try on this dress and do these things, and I'm having to describe this dress, and I'm like, hell, I don't know what it looks like, you know. So I had to go do some searching to find out, what's a little more fashionable to be in there.
I feel like you could go out, off the wall and like Google Met Gala dresses and be like, I like this aspect and this
Yeah.
aspect and this.
Yeah, yeah. And then the smells, actually, smells I do okay with because I associate a lot of things, with smell. So that came together okay. But as far as, I don't know that I incorporated taste much in there. That's a now that you mention that.
Think about it. Sorry, just interested because I have friends that talk a lot about food, and so much so that they really get into, and it's inspired me to try to get into the fact that when they talk about food, then they create recipes based off their food, and then when they're giving out extra goodies to their readers, it's like, here's a recipe card based off this recipe, and you can go enjoy it. And I'm like, that's
Oh my God.
awesome. I
Okay.
need to do better about that.
That's in okay, so my autograph copies that I do, I'm put there's a scene where they're eating Marry Me chicken. And so that is part of what I send out when I do the author copies is I handwrite out a Marry Me chicken recipe.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay, see, because there are so many people who enjoy again getting immersed in so many ways, and books and recipes being one of them. So we have some more questions coming in. What is our world building or world build pet peeve? So is there anything about like building a world that
I think it's just a personal preference. I am not, like I said, I'm not really big into heavy descriptions that take 2 or 3 pages to get through the blade of grass and how it moved or whatever. Like, so when I read a book, like that's usually the pages where I'm like, okay, and I just kind of skip through them. I think as a writer, that's something I'm very aware of, is I know that I don't like that personally, so I don't write it that way, even though I'm sure other people might like it. It's just I think it's boring to me. It's just boring.
Well, for me, I don't really have world building pet peeves, but I do have character building pet peeves. Like, I don't mind you giving characters quirks. Characters should be quirky. They should have little things. But if you go back to that again and again and again and again, it kind of gets a little not just boring, but annoying. Case in point, Nineveh, or I don't know if how you pronounce her name, Nineveh from Wheel of Time. She likes to tug her braid or play with her braid, and every scene, every page, like 5 times, and it just, I can't stand it. And because of that, it bleeds into her character, which I know she's a really interesting character, but like I can't like her because every time she comes in a scene, I'm like, oh no, not with the hair again, please no,
Please
I
don't
can't
touch
do
your hair.
it, no.
Have you seen all of the back and forth about from the Akatar series, where it's always Feyre and her watery bowels? They bring that up so many times in the book. They're like, please stop bringing that up. I don't need to know that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a thing.
Well, on the flip side, what is our favorite descriptions to write? Do you have something that you enjoy writing descriptively?
I mean, I write spice, so yes. Yeah.
That's fair.
For being honest.
Hey, that is completely fair. For me, I enjoy a good action scene. I like that's like one of my favorite things to write. And but I have to be also in the headspace. I know like if it's later on in the day, I'm a morning writer. If it's later on in the day, heading into the afternoon, I'm not necessarily mentally there for an action scene because I want to be ready. But first thing in the morning, if I'm sitting down, that's one of my favorite things to do. I'm like, ooh, and then trying to go around and like trying to visual where the characters or creatures or entities are moving and what they're doing. I think that's so much fun.
Nice. Yeah, see, and we're the opposite because I cannot function that well with the brain power in the morning. So it's always like about 7 o'clock on at night is when I'm doing my best work when I write. Mm-hmm. When they have Jen describes Jello baths. Yes, I do. I have my little toe demon doesn't like squishy things, and so that's the threat that she gives him is I will put you in the jello bath. So it's a whole thing. It's a very odd book, but it's a lot of fun.
Okay, let me go back to like one of the basic questions that's always fun. What made you decide to sit down and write the book, especially one about a perimenopausal demon that lives in a toe?
This came together so organically, but so strangely too. I came back to, well, I started posting on TikTok last year, and I was just getting back into book talk. I hadn't read for a lot of years. I've been busy, just whatever, hadn't had time. And so I started reading. ACOTAR was popular. That was the first thing I got back into. Fourth Wing, all of those. And I had put a question out on a video asking, are there any FMCs that aren't 20 years old and the size of my pen? And it turned into this whole, like, that video just went wild, which I was not expecting. And there were a bunch of women saying, like, yes, like, someone give us recommendations of, older or plus size or, just something different. And so I thought, okay. And then I'm going through perimenopause, and it's, a joy. And talking with a lot of other people that are going through it, I'm like, we're not, I don't want to say we're not being represented, but like nobody really talks about it because I don't know why. They just don't. So I made my FMC perimenopausal, and that's literally what peri is. Like, he's perimenopause. But I wanted them to have something funny to identify with because it's a wild time in your life. Like, everything that you have known up to this point when you hit this stage changes. It all changes. You're like,
Yep.
I don't feel like myself anymore. Um, so to try and describe that in a book in a way that like would make people laugh rather than just feeling sad about, the changes that we're going through. I wanted them to feel like they're not alone, where there's all of Gen X. I mean, I think I read there was like 1 billion women going through this right now. So
Yeah.
that's where the concept came from, or the desire came from. I knew I knew I wanted to take the FMC through a Schmex club. And the reason that Perry became a toe demon is because comedy. As I was taking her through, planning to take her through this club, um, I was thinking, what is the funniest thing that I could do to make this awkward as she's going through here, outside of just, seeing things that she's never seen before. And so that's why he went into the toe, because I thought there's probably a lot of things I could do with that in scenes to kind of have some comedic relief with it. So that's why he lives there. I know, it's weird.
I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. I was going to say, no, yours is probably one of the more unique origin stories to your writing, but
Yeah. Well, and what's fun is, so I did it on here just as I told people, like, I don't know if I can write a book. I want to see if I can write a book. And so May of last year, I started documenting it on here. Like, okay, here's what I'm doing, and would go through, like, here's what I'm going through. And I started meeting people in the indie community that were, seeing the videos and being like, oh, this poor soul. Good luck to you. But it evolved, and like, I'm an author now. It's so wild.
Mhm. It's amazing journey that everybody who persists with it goes through, because it's no two people's journeys are the same when it comes to writing, and the reasons why you write and how you get to where you are when you get to those points, be it publishing and first sales and all of that kind of stuff. It's an amazing thing, but it's always interesting to talk about because everybody's experiences are so dramatically different. And I see another question pop in. What is the best quote unquote nerd out moment that you've had when you were writing? Maybe it made it into your books, maybe not, but whatever it was, it made you laugh. You have one like that. I've been staring at that question, being like,
There is a scene where, and it's in the last third of the book. My FMC is committing a crime, and she is not a criminal type personality at all. And it's very kind of Three Stooges ish how it happens. Like, they're trying to adult nap someone, and so she goes and gets the white van, and he's like, "What? That's so cliche. Why are you doing that?" She's like, "I don't know. It's what I think you do." And like, it's very Three Stooges kind of through the whole process of this adult napping that happens. So I still laugh at it. I mean, I wrote the damn thing and I laugh at it because it was silly.
I love that. I really do. I've been thinking about. I was trying to think about how I would answer that. Again, I listen to the more darker side of fantasy, so even when I'm like writing stuff, it's usually not necessarily bust out laughing. But the work in progress that I'm writing right now, it's the first book that I'm having multiple POVs, because I'm so used to writing one. And so because I have a very different cast, there's some really interesting characters, one of which who is the one that I think a lot of people are going to bust out laugh at. I hope so. I am trying. But it's this D&D meets Witcher scenario. And in fantasy, especially those that kind of relate to D&D, there's a certain stigma for what bards are. They're the jokesters. They're, they like to sleep around. They're humorous people. So I was like, what if I took that personality, but instead of putting in my bard, I'm going to put it in what they call a cleric, which is a little more of a religious character. So I made her a pleasure cleric. And she worships exactly how you think.
Oh, I love it. Okay.
And so her quips are like, and she definitely makes a lot of the other characters blush if they're not comfortable with things, but she is totally fine with it because,
Love that. Oh my God, I love that. I can't wait to see that.
That's my channeling of like my attempt to do that a little bit different. But every time I write her, I bust out laughing. I'm like, okay, maybe it's just me. I think you're funny, but it's easier to write that kind of stuff because she's that little more cruder sense of humor versus another character that I'm trying to be humorous in a very dry, cynical way, and that was hard for me to do.
Oh yeah, that would be challenging.
Cynic, but it is, like I said, it's fun, and characters kind of write themselves into being. So having such bold personalities pop out at you, sometimes that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you're like, oh, we're gonna do this, okay.
So with all your projects in the works, do you have any idea what you would do next?
I do, actually. There's a story concept that's been rolling around in my head, and I feel like it could be another series. I'm holding off on doing anything with it because I want to make sure I get this done and get it out because people are waiting on that. But yeah, another strong female. I like to stick with the middle-aged females just because I know how to write them. But more of a Dexter-ish kind of vibe.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see how that turns out.
I like it.
Yeah,
definitely like it. So for the marketing, I know the dreaded marketing thing.
Oh
God. What if anything what has worked for you and that you enjoy, and maybe what is something that you've realized, I don't like this, please don't make me do this. Which could be all. I understand.
Well, here's the thing. I don't mind being on camera. Like I've been on camera from day one, so having my face on there is not a big deal. But what I have found that started to work is the thing I did not expect was I turned Perry into a character and I talked to him on camera. Like there's this whole banter conversation thing that started. This has just started within the last, I don't know, God, 2 or 3 weeks. And it is wildly entertaining for me. So like I hope it's wildly entertaining for everybody else. But I think he's going to be much more involved just because the challenge with marketing this book is I'm in bromance, but I do not put it together to look like a typical romance book. I mean, it's very much a rom-com. So I wanted the design and everything. That is not your typical romance book, no. Which makes it challenging when it comes to marketing because people are like, well, I don't know if I like that. So I'm really trying to bring him up as a character and get people comfortable with him to see like, no, he's funny. You're going to like him, just get past the fact that he's a foot. So yeah, it's been a ton of fun.
I feel like you could almost print out the little foot. You would have to cut him out, but then you could turn them into like little bookmarks for people when they get your book.
Yeah. So my boyfriend does woodworking, and we've talked about I haven't done my book boxes yet, but when I do them, I want to do custom bookmarks where he can make Perry sitting on the top of the book so that he's always there looking at you and like staring at you when you're reading. So yeah, eventually.
Be as creative as you can.
Yeah.
I love that. No, I was gonna say, your concept is fantastic. Actually, let me talk about it. It's a little early than I usually ask this question, but let me ask, where can people get your book who are interested? Like, is it wide? Is it, do you sell direct, only at Amazon, and what formats?
Yeah, so anywhere fine books are sold, you can get them online. It's on KU, so you can have them there. I do have signed, copies in the place. And so that's just started recently within the last couple of weeks, but I plan to do I would like to do more of those just because the packaging, I do all the packaging and stuff myself, and I draw all over the it's craft paper, and I draw all over it, and I draw Perry on like the little foot on there and everything. So but yeah, they can get them on there too. So
I love that. And for anybody who doesn't know, and I will preach this to the day I whatever, but when you buy direct from an author, not only does the author get a better share, which is fantastic, but usually you get extra perks like signed copies or extra little bonus things and bookmarks. So I'm gonna just throw it out there. You support direct when you can.
absolutely. Yeah, we were figuring it up the other day. I didn't realize when I went to publish how little goes to the author from from a paperback that you would buy on a retailer. That absolutely blew my mind. And I'm like, oh, I see why why you want to go to the author, because it's terrible.
And I see in here we have someone from England hanging out. Hello, one of my English author friends who's done this wonderful empire of direct sales. Like he does it all. But he's finally, for his upcoming book, trying to allow his hardcovers and paperbacks to be available wide. And he had this little post recently on this platform about how little people get. And if you want to go through something like Ingram Sparks and try to have your book widely available, and you want it in the ability to be in stores, you have to discount it by X amount of percentage. And if you're encouraged to even do wide percentage, but if he did that, he would make no money or even negative money, which is wild. It's like, for people to understand. It's like, yes, authors theoretically could make negative money in some of these investments, which is crazy.
It's just wild. Yeah, I think, what would we figure up? I think I make $1.25 or $1.50 off of like a paperback sale from a retailer, which is just, and the book is like 22. That's wild.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, is like I, in my gut, really want my physical copies to be wide, but I haven't made the jump because, in part, things like that. And the other part, Ingram Sparks sounds terrifying.
Oh, Ingram is, yeah.
So it's like I have my ebooks and most of my audiobooks widely available. You can get them in libraries and all that kind of stuff. I love that. I want my hardcovers and paperbacks to be there too. But the reality is, you make so little of it. I'm like,
Yep. Yeah, I'm really going to try and push, doing direct copy. Just, if nothing else, it's also more personalized. I mean, to have the signed copy, to get the personalization, it's a little more interaction, I think, with people who are fans of the book, and then for you, the author, too. So we'll hopefully go that route.
One of the things I'm moving towards, but it's taken me a long time to do and figuring out how to do it, is what I'll be doing is having special edition books, like my beautiful baby right there, special edition books that will be exclusively found through me. You'll still find the book in another form, with another cover, other places. But if you want the special one, you want the pretty, 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 pretty one, you have to come to me for that one. One, it's going to encourage people to come and buy direct if they like the pretty, pretty stuff. But two, it still allows me to have something else elsewhere. But I just want, to kind of, again, you're training the readership that this is a thing, and you can do that.
Absolutely.
So, I see a question. Should she sell on Book Talk? I'm going to use that term for right now.
Oh, gotcha.
She's an author is trying to figure out if they should open a Book Talk shop.
I have not done it. I have a couple of friends who have. They seem to do well with it. The only reason I haven't so far is because I'm on a personal page, and if I were to set it up on my own page, they want your address. And I'm not going out to people you ship to, and I'm just not comfortable with doing all that. So I'd have to set up a whole separate page to do it, which I may do that in the future. I just haven't yet. But yeah, I mean, I've heard of people having really good results from it.
And my experience, it's a little different than some other people. Again, I have friends who do fantastic through the Book Talk shop aspect. For me, even though I have it still out there, because it is a little more strict on the type of posts you can make and what you can say and the music usage and all that. It is far more strict than you can do on other kind of, like my regular one here. It's harder for me to figure out how to maneuver around and make it fun and engaging and encourage people that way. I also have a shop through my own website, and that even when I promoted the one here, people went to my website to buy. So I have both, but at this point I've kind of like let the other one kind of sit in the background just because I'm focusing on, well, if other people are automatically going to go this other route, and that's kind of what I'm doing. Well, but I still go direct that way. And yes, Landon does work out. He carries my books sometimes. Nice. Usually, actually, I carry my books. Don't even lie, you know that. Okay, questions. Where can we find you in the real world this year? Are you doing any live signings, in other words?
So far, I have not signed up for anything yet. I am hopefully, fingers crossed, going to be at Happily Indie After, but I'm not signing up like as an author. I think I'll be there like volunteering or, just hanging out with everybody. But no, that's something I need to work on, is getting out and about and actually like, meeting people. So
no, I highly encourage that. And it's also good, like, if you don't get in as an author, depending on what kind of event it is, to go and hang out and make connections and meet the people who run it, because you never know what will help you going forward. But yeah, for me, my next event will be here in Georgia. Should shock everybody who knows me. But it's called Book Flood, and it'll be held at Viking Alchemist Meadery. It's a one-day book fest, and that will be on March 28th, and I will probably dress as my Viking cosplay based on my character, so I should be pretty easy to find there.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
Yes.
Very cool.
And then I will probably have a little bit of a gap because I don't really have a lot signed up over the summer, because I like having some time off too. But I will be going to Lit RPG Con to meet people and connect and network, and then I'll be attending Dragon Con back in Atlanta over Labor Day weekend. So those are the ones for sure. I have other feelers out. We'll see.
Very cool. Yeah, I'd like to get into doing that more. It's a little challenging right now because I've got my day job, and then I've got side gigs and a dog and a whole thing. And like, so if I can figure out how to make it work logistically, I'll definitely want to do that.
I understand.
Yeah.
I'm envious of some of my friends who have smaller dogs. I have big dogs. Smaller dogs who are behaved enough that they can go and hang out in their booths when they sell it, at book events. And for me, I'm like, one of my dogs is an Irish Wolfhound. He's part horse, okay,
I have a Great Dane.
I can't fit him easily in a small booth in a hotel. The other one's a Husky who will be like zip, 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 zip. And I'm like, I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, you feel the big dog pain. I have a Great Dane who, if he comes over, which I've got him blocked out, but he'll stand, about here while we talk. So
yes. I love big dogs. I absolutely love them. And yes to the Viking cosplay. I encourage every author to cosplay as their own characters, especially if they do signings, because people will be like, what is this? And you're like, well, do the Vanna White, as long as people are dressed well. Hello.
That's great.
I was telling some other authors that, and they were like, that is brilliant. I was like, yes. Now, one of my author goals is for someone to cosplay as a book character of mine, and then come up to me. That would be one of those.
Oh, that's the ultimate, right? Like,
right?
To have that kind of fan art or that fan following, that's cool.
Yes. And I've seen another author potentially trying to go to Lit RPG. Well, if you go, hopefully we will see each other there. I like the book community is fun. You never know where you're going to meet people. So I love that. Okay, let me ask one of my other big questions, because the hour is going to start flying by. Where else outside of Book Talk can people find and follow you? Do you have a website, newsletter, other socials? Where do you hub?
Yeah, so I have Insta, and then let's see. I have a YT page. The only thing I do with that is I upload, and I haven't done it for a while, but some interviews that I will do on Thursday nights. I'll usually upload them there. Um, I haven't really used that page for much else. So, and then I do have a site. It's in process of switching right now, but on my tree of links, there's one up there. So, yeah.
Well, for YT, if you're on there, one thing that has been working for me recently is uploading just my little teeny shorts here. And I just been uploading there, and because they're pushing shorter videos on that platform, it's been fairly decent for the fact that a lot of platforms have been kind of sluggish lately. That one still has some decent growth. So it's just like interesting.
That might not be a bad idea because that's kind of what I'm doing with my Insta. I don't really go over to Insta a lot unless I'm just checking things. I tend to kind of live here, but that's not a bad idea to move some of it over to YT and just see how it does there too. So good call. I might do that.
Repurposing. Work smarter, not harder.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love that. And yes, I will use and abuse that because it's like if I make something here and take that time and effort, I want to post anywhere else because you never know who's going to see it where.
Yeah.
And just again, work smarter, not harder. I mean, let's make sure I word that right. I was like, wait, am I wording that right? Yes. Okay. I love that. But let me ask you, is there any particular topic that you wanted to talk about? And the same thing for anybody in the chat. Any topics that you wanted to cover that we haven't covered, or questions that you had that you haven't had a chance to ask?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Now it's on you.
I know. I'm like, oh my God, the clock is ticking.
It's okay, and the same goes for anybody in the chat too. I always try to just make sure we cover all the bases because there are some people who I don't know what everybody wants to talk about, so I can just guess and just throw and go.
Oh yeah,
all over the place. But
I mean, I think we went through all the book stuff, and then where I'm going. I mean, as far as if you like quirky character stuff, feel free to hang around on my videos and things. Things are about to get wild. I've got a super secret project that I'm working on that I can't talk about, but there might be some new things coming up there too. So fun.
I do like secret projects, and like it's so much fun to have them, and then finally get to stages where you can be like sprinkle little hits, little hits. Like my clinic earlier, sprinkle little hits before we get too crazy about stuff. I do like that. And so follow her if you want to hear more about her secret upcoming project. Dun dun dun. So out of all your characters, do you have a favorite side character?
Well, I mean, okay, so outside of Perry, because obviously Perry's the main one, but yes, there is a woman named Jessica, and Jessica runs a nail salon. She has no time for your BS. She doesn't want to chit chat. She's a chain smoking, like, looks like a 60, 70-year-old woman, and she's very blunt and to the point and sarcastic, and I love to write her so much. She's so fun because she just the things that, like, when you're in polite conversation with people that you don't want to say because you want to be polite, she doesn't care, and I get to use her as an outlet for those type of things that you want to say to someone that you can't. So yeah, that's
the
Jessica.
filter gets removed through this character. Tell me how you really feel. I won't, but let me introduce you to my book character.
Yes. Please meet Jessica. So yeah, she's probably my favorite side one.
I love that. I could also, oh my god, that could be a challenge where you ask your readers, send scenarios of things that they wish they could have had to come back, and then you write it from Jessica's point of view, saying, this is what Jessica would say.
Yeah, Jessica wouldn't put up with that. That would be fun. I never thought about doing that. I might take that. We'll see how that goes.
I was like, again, I come up with the ideas. I pass them along most of the time. Every so often I'll have one. I'm like, I might have the energy to fulfill this myself. I don't know. But usually it's just like, here's an idea for you. It's free. Take it or leave it. I also see the comment, Jessica is my spirit animal. Well, I was like, oh, that's cute. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's
Jessica
foul
Advice.
in the best way. Like, if you were interacting with her in person, you would be like, "Oh my God, who's this woman?" But like in a book format, like, "Oh yeah, go for it."
Again, that's that kind of like we go to many of us. Again, I can't speak for everybody. Many of us go to fiction because we want to be taken away from our reality. So,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be put into a whole other world, though that's usually what I prefer. But like, it could be like in our world and very similar situations, but just have someone approach them so differently. And just like,
Yeah.
yes.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, and I see the title for you, Jessica Advice Shorts.
Oh my God, that would be a hoot. Oh. Okay. We might look into that.
Hey, great! Now you have some content. You have new content to come up with.
Yes.
Because
Yes. Always.
there were days. Ooh, there were days where I was sitting here. I'm like, how do I talk about my books again without sounding repetitive? I
Oh
guess
God,
it's
yeah.
sounding repetitive.
Without having the same conversation. The elevator pitch, there's only so many
Oh.
times you can throw out the elevator pitch.
Hey, on the other hand, there's always going to be a new person that's it's going to reach, and that may be the right thing they need to hear. I get that, but for my sanity, it's nice to try to figure out some other way. Rather than, I also am terrible at elevator pitches. Oh, so terrible.
It took a while to really pull it together because I was really struggling with how there's so many things that happen later on in the book that I couldn't talk about. And I'm like, how do I sell this? But when it finally started to come together, then it flowed. And now I can, throw it out there anytime. But it was a challenge to come up with.
I've been in this game for 10 years, man. I still
Yeah. Well, and it's that balance too, because you don't want to give everything away in the book, but you want to give people an idea of, what is it? So yeah, it's challenging.
I love that. So, is there anything that you want to announce about upcoming books? I know you said you weren't really doing a lot of events, but I know you're having your diadem based series coming out later this year.
Yes, that will be October 31st. That will be coming out. Book 2 of The Adventures of Perry and Mogg, I do not have a date on yet. I'm about 20,000 words into that. So my hope is to get it out again this year. We'll see how that goes. But I rushed a little bit at the end of the process last year, just learning and, first timer.
Oh, yeah.
And this time around, I want to plan a little bit better when I go to put it out. So it might take a minute, but it'll be coming. And there's going to be new characters and new adventures.
I'm going to say something that I need to listen to the rules. You don't have to feel pressured to release it right away. You can take your time because I get so excited when a book's ready that I'm just like, out.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at building the buzz. I'm just like, out. I'll talk about it after.
Well, and that's a fair point because I didn't really know how to, plan a release. Like I was very, very blessed that a lot of the people in the community on the day of the release were, posting videos and they were being very supportive and it was amazing. I personally really didn't plan well on what to do with it. It's going to be on this day and hope you enjoy, That's not how that works. So
Not if you. It can work that way.
I mean, it can.
It's just not the most beneficial way to approach it.
Yeah. So this time around, I want to be much more intentional with it. So I think it'll be a lot of fun.
So how many books at this moment in time, that could change, are you envisioning for this Perry series?
I see 3 right now. Okay. I see potential where it could go on longer. I think once I get through book 2, I'll have a better idea. I'm trying not to rush the storyline. I'm so excited in book 2 to, I want to get to this and I have this idea for this, but trying to make that breathe a little bit and not push it in the story if it's not time for it. So at least 3, maybe more.
one of the things that I've enjoyed doing is if I had that moment where I'm like so excited about this concept for a scene or this interchange, this dialogue interchange, or whatever it is, I will take some time to kind of even write a page or two or a paragraph or whatever it needs, and I kind of put it down below whatever chapter I'm working on. So whenever I get to the point that I get to that place in the book, it's there. And then I can be like,
cool.
And then I
That's
can view on.
smart.
So, because I do totally respect, everybody works differently and writes differently, but I do totally respect, like, okay, I don't want to, rush to get to what I want to write. So maybe if I write that scene and then I'm ready for it when it comes in, that I'm not necessarily rushing to get to that scene.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I've not tried it yet. I actually was just having this discussion with the boyfriend this morning about that. 'Cause I told him, like, I've got this scene coming up that I cannot wait, and I'm working on the chapter before it right now, and I just want to get to that one. And he was like, "Well, why don't you just write that one?" And I'm like, "That's not how I write, but
That's fair.
maybe I need to try it. I haven't tried it."
That's fair. Like, again, everybody works differently. Like, one of the things that when I get in the past, I have gotten kind of like halfway through a book, and then all of a sudden I have that perfect epilogue scene, and I'll be like, you know what, I'm going to write the epilogue today, and I'll be like, it's just going to be chilling here. But it's my motivation to get to that point. And let's hope my book stays in that direction.
Yeah.
Or else I'll have an alternative version.
Don't anyone go off path. Nobody goes off path. We're good.
We got to get to that point, guys. Somehow we got to get there. Anywho. That's too funny.
I love it.
Well, if anybody else who's been listening in has any other questions, this is that time to ask. But since we've reached the end of the hour, I do want to say thank you so much for hanging out.
Oh my God.
That hour sped by.
It did, and thank you. That was a lot of fun. This was a great time.
I enjoyed getting to meet you. Your book sounds hysterical.
Thank
and I'm going to have to look that one up for some people, because I was going to say that is hysterical. But thank you so much for hanging out. I love meeting people. I love getting to know you. And of course, I'll let you know when if and when, I have to always put the if, sometimes it's weird, if and when I'm able to repurpose this onto a YT at a later date, and make sure all your content information is down below.
Absolutely. And let us know if you get the Viking cosplay. We need to see this as well. Okay.
Oh, don't worry. I posted this periodically because I have utilized this concept on many an event at many a con for a number of years. Seska was the one. She's been in the chat. She's the reason why I put this one together, because I was on a panel for her, and I blame her for this. But now I advise every author, if you so choose, I highly encourage you to cosplay as one of your characters. It is a conversation starter.
I need to get a big green foot. That's what I need. I need a big green foot suit.
Hysterical.
It's gonna be awkward, but we're gonna do it.
Again, it'll bring, someone's gonna ask why. You'd be like,
oh, yeah.
well.
Well.
Now
that a lot in.
Or an inflatable foot. I see that too.
Yeah. Oh God. Okay.
You're gonna have so many things to think about later this evening.
I am.
For good, bad, or the ugly, whatever.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But again, thank you for hanging out, and we will definitely be keeping in touch, and I have enjoyed our chat. So
I have as well. Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you to everybody who's hung out in the chat. You're amazing. I appreciate you. So
and until next time, everyone, I hope everyone happy reading.
Bye.